Welcome, everybody. My name is Yetta, Jager, and I'm your worship associate for today. My pronouns are she, her, and whatever. You are all welcome here. I answer to anything. You're all welcome here regardless of your spiritual path, your race, gender, creeds. Whoever you are, we welcome you here, and we want to learn about what your beliefs are and share in this journey and in this community together. Today we have a very special service. We're welcoming our partner organization, Keeping the Tennessee River Beautiful, with Kathleen, Gibi, and there's going to be coffee after the service, so please stay for that. Not sure if I've forgotten anything, but there are some announcements. First, the service next week will be our water communion, which is very fitting, and so we welcome you to bring whatever water is special to you from the summer, whether you've traveled, whether you've enjoyed the local rivers here, whatever you want to share with us about water, we welcome you to bring that. And I think this is a very important ritual in Unitarian Universalism myself. So that's next week, and you can expect to hear a lot of music about rivers there. Also, let's see, what else do I need to highlight? Marlene Ziegler, who was a longtime supporter of West Side and recently celebrated her 100th birthday. Am I getting that right?
She turned 100 on the 7th of September.
Oh, okay, so that's coming up. So I'm sure whether you remember her or knew her or not, that she would love to hear from us. Are there any other announcements that I've forgotten or I'm not aware of? Please look in here and see if there's anything of interest. There's one other thing that I did want to mention, and that is that we are going to really try to ramp up or regenerate our RE program, and we have the services the first week of every month. And we're also going to have a playground cleanup, and we'll need everybody's help with that. And there are some sign-up sheets to help with a work crew, and there will be like specific tasks that people can contribute to if they wish to. So if you can help with that, that would be greatly appreciated and would help us to welcome young people into our community. We will now sound the bowl, invite the bowl to sound, to bring us into a quieter state of mind. I should have let Chris do that. Is everybody awake? And now Elizabeth Greenwood will come up and light the chalice, or read the chalice lighting while I light the chalice. I'll do the reading.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It is traditional to use acknowledgement, but today I think it is appropriate to acknowledge that here in the valley, we depend on the waters formerly used by the Cherokee, Yuchi, and Muskogee Creek nations. In Cherokee cosmology, the river, including the Tennessee River, is personified as Long Man, whose head lies in the mountains and feet stretch to the sea. Long Man is revered as one who provided water to drink, cleanliness, and food. We also light candles of celebration for the gift of clean water and ecosystem services from rivers surrounding us, and candles of concern for misuse of the river. The river changed when TVA came and built dams to help rebuild the impoverished South as part of the New Deal. As a young journalist, James Aggie filed a story about TVA in Fortune magazine in 1933. It began with a poetic run-on sentence tracing the entire course of the Tennessee River. The river roared like blown smoke through the floodgates of Wilson Dam to slide becalmed along the crop-cleansed fields of Shiloh, to spreading marshes toward the valley's end, where finally, at the toes of Paducah, in one wide glass golden swarm, the water stoops forward and continuously dives into Ohio.
Thank you. We will now sing. There is a river flowing in my soul, and will the choir please come up and lead us? And now I'd like to introduce Kathleen. Kathleen has led Keep the Tennessee River Beautiful since 2019 and served as the organization's only boat captain until she expanded the fleet and staff in 2023. Since that initial boat launch, she's collaborated with an incredibly active board, investing partners, and more than 5,000 passionate volunteers to remove approximately 1 million pounds of trash from the Tennessee River watershed. I'm going to skip some of this so that she can talk about it during her talk. But I want to say that some of her national and state awards for the organization include the Innovation Award from Keep America Beautiful and the Nonprofit Recycler of the Year from the Tennessee Recycling Coalition. And before this position, she served as a communications specialist at the city of Knoxville for 15 years under 4 mayors, specializing in parks and recreation. I'm going to skip through here. And this work that she did, including the Living Lands and Water program to initiate the Tennessee River Tour, eventually led Knoxville and Knox County to rank #1 in the nation among Let's Move cities, towns, and counties. And the National League of Cities named Kathleen the most dedicated staff member in 2015. And so I'll turn it over to Kathleen, hopefully leaving her enough room on here for her.
Thank you so much, Yetta, and thank you so much to everyone at Westside Unitarian. Really appreciate the very good people here having such open doors and welcoming arms. Really appreciate it. And having had the honor of getting to serve in community service, I love that's the mentality of your church, and that means a lot to me. Having a background in Parks and Recreation, I can't tell you how happy it made me to see that you're doing a playground cleanup. So that's really special to me because there's a lot of talk in our country from Americans about freedom, and I actually think one of the best signs of freedom is children playing carefree on our playgrounds. And so thank you so much for that. And without further ado, I'm going to hop into this presentation. So as an organization, you can imagine we have different initiatives. There's one in particular that I feel like really speaks to Yetta in particular, and so I'll be touching on that one a little more here in a little bit. But about us really quickly, we are the first Keep America Beautiful affiliate in the country to focus solely on a river. We're really proud of that because the Tennessee River itself has had so much part in this country's history, the world's history. It is the most biodiverse river system in North America. We have played obviously a big role in helping to pull, as you heard with the New Deal, pull the nation out of the Great Depression. And so it's kind of been a two-sided thing. What is it? Two-sided sword. Two-sided blade. What is the term I'm trying to say? Double-edged. Double-edged sword. Thank you. So double-edged sword. But in many ways, this river continues to support us. It is why we're here. And so, over time, we've kind of turned our back to the river. So that's our goal, is to help get everybody's eyes back on the river. First of all, to fall back in love with it, because we actually have one of the most beautiful river systems in the country. And then, to help them care about it enough to want to make an impact and help them understand the impact. And if you saw on our first slide, our slogan is "Your River, Your Impact." And we chose that because it's true. It is your river and it is your impact, whether you're aware of the impact you're making, and whether you're aware that it's your river or not, it is still going to be you impacting the river and the river impacting you. So our goal is that everybody makes an intentional impact on it. But we've been really fortunate. Just on Friday, we finished our 234th cleanup. Since we started, we now have 5,101 volunteers who would help to support us, and we are rolling very quickly to the 1 million pound milestone. October is Keep the Tennessee River Watershed Beautiful Month. We have a packed schedule. I encourage you to check out our website and come join us on a cleanup, but we are going to be reaching the 1 million pound milestone since we've put our first boat in the water in 2019. That will be happening this October, so we're really excited about that. We're actually having a kickoff event on October 1st on Volunteer Landing. Mayor Kincannon's going to come. It is the 10-year anniversary since we did our Tennessee River tour that led to our nonprofit forming. So how it all started, Chad Pergracki is the founder of Living Lands and Waters. He was named 2013 CNN Hero of the Year, but he started out in professional fishing and noticed a lot of trash on the Mississippi River up in Quad Cities, Illinois. Decided if somebody's not going to pick up the trash, I'm going to. And as he continued to clean up trash, people started joining him. He formed a nonprofit, and he happened to be speaking at the Keep Tennessee Beautiful conference in 2014, I believe. And at that point, I was speaking about greenways from the city of Knoxville's perspective. And I said, you've got to come to Knoxville. And so we ended up devising this plan that ended up Mayor O'Hara reached out to other mayors, Christy Branscombe, the deputy mayor at the time. We came up with this strategy along with Living Lands and Waters to do a 2015 Tennessee River tour where Living Lands and Waters brought their barge, starting out at Volunteer Landing. So you'll see that barge on the next page. And so the idea was the barge would start in Knoxville. We started out with the Iams River Rescue. How many participated in the Iams River Rescue? I hope some. Oh, if you haven't, please do. It's in April. It's so good. It's so good. But I think it's a 5-county river cleanup effort every year. Yeah, so we did this cleanup. We brought 12 tons of trash in just a weekend onto this barge, and then the barge went on to Chattanooga, and they did another cleanup, and they continued displaying this trash until we got to Kentucky. So it was really about, first of all, pointing out just how gorgeous our river was, drawing people's eyes back to it, because 60s and 70s, you know, the river had gotten in bad conditions before EPA standards were implemented. We have a lot of scientists who have been working really hard to help improve the water quality, and it really has gotten back up to much better standards. And so, you know, unfortunately, there were residual comments still, hey, don't swim in the Tennessee River, you'll grow a third arm kind of comments. So we wanted to help raise awareness that, you know, standards were improving, and we needed to make sure they continue to improve. And so that was the purpose of this tour. It ended up that Chad sat down with TVA and TDOT and Keep Tennessee Beautiful and said, they were the funders of the Tennessee River Tour, and he said, you cannot let this be a one-time event. This is the most gorgeous river system I've ever been on. You cannot let it be a one-time event. And so TVA and Keep Tennessee Beautiful and TDOT put their heads together and came up with the idea to form our nonprofit, Keep the Tennessee River Beautiful. And it is worth protecting. It's a 652-mile river on the main stem, but then when you add in the tributaries, I think there's 11,000 miles of shore. It hits 7 states. Just to give you an idea of the biodiversity, there's 230 species of fish in the Tennessee River system. That's double what's in the Mississippi River, and yet the Mississippi River is 3.5 times longer than the Tennessee. We also have, there are numbers that vary, but over 125 species of mussels in the Tennessee River watershed. And then it's an economic driver. So this river impacts us all. It generates $12 billion just in the recreation industry alone every year. And I think it's important to remember that tourism is Tennessee's second largest industry in the state. So it behooves us not only to take care of our drinking source and not only to protect these very delicate ecosystems, but those delicate ecosystems are what makes this river so beautiful and so attractive to come and visit. So it affects us in so many ways. And that's what I love about this role that Keep the Tennessee River Beautiful plays, is that this is very much a nonpartisan effort. The river impacts us all. I can't tell you how many times we've had people from very passionate opposite sides of the aisle politically working together and laughing because it really does impact us all. And just really fast, I want to emphasize that in 2015, just after we did the Tennessee River Tour, a German scientist named Dr. Andreas Fath came through and did what he called tennis swim. And he actually, I call him a jock scientist because he actually swam the entire Tennessee River, and he took samples as he went along. And when I started my job in 2019, that month, there were results released from his studies, and it was found that the Tennessee River was the most microplastic polluted river in the world, studied to date, important caveat there, but it was more microplastics than the Yangtze River in China. So that says that we have this gorgeous river to the naked eye, but when we're looking at the water quality, the microplastics are becoming an issue, and that really does point to going after litter and other things. If you don't know, let's see, we can, if you don't mind to switch, yeah, volunteer cleanups. These volunteer cleanups that we do, we're getting large plastic items. Plastic is one of the biggest items we're pulling out of the river, whether it's plastic bottles or plastic utensils, plastic straws, plastic bags, and eventually over time the sun breaks down the quality of those items. The photo on the left there is actually a typical cove. There are many times we've had a cove that we take volunteers to clean where you can't even walk. You cannot even walk on the natural ground because there's so much trash. And then on the far right bottom there, you see there's a small company in Chattanooga called iSustain. They have 6 employees, and every year they sponsor a cleanup, and they rally their local community to come out and do a cleanup. This past cleanup, I think they removed 7,000 pounds in one day. So. And Clayton Home Building Group, incredibly proud to work with them. Incredibly proud to work with them. They have set so many records for us. The most volunteers showing up to a cleanup. We have 185 volunteers coming for one day of a cleanup from Clayton Home Building Group. They broke the record for the largest amount of trash removed in one day, 28,000 pounds of trash. I just haven't made a graphic for the next one, but they actually were beaten by another branch who was competitive, and they removed 31,500 pounds of trash. So really amazing company working with us. I think collectively over the last 3 years, they've removed 176,000 pounds of trash, just Clayton Home Building Group employees. And so, you know, I love to show this graph. It's a great example of a nonprofit having the right tools. So the first 3 years, we didn't have a boat. We had Living Lands and Waters. They would travel to us and bring their boats, and we have 4 cleanups a year. 2019, in July, we put our first boat in the water, so we actually saw an increase. And then 2020, we had a year long with our first boat. 2021, we actually had a boat, and we had an AmeriCorps member. So we had staff, and we had a truck that we no longer had to rent a truck, and we could go scout out trash ahead of time. And then it's only increased. 2022, we actually got our second boat. The reason the number went down there is containers, you're helping to save that plastic. On our planet. You know, they have projected different than what Dollywood is doing, but in my mind, the crow has a different than what Dollywood is doing, but in my mind, the crow has a beret, and the cigarette is still lit. And maybe even he flies next to the girl who's with the guy who just littered. You know, he's like, got them installed, these receptacles installed in all 7 states of our watershed. These receptacles installed in all 7 states of our watershed. A lot of partners participating. We also have electric litter skimmers that work 24/7 to filter out, just like a pool skimmer, but it's electric. And they filter out debris that's floating on the surface of the water. We had one marina recently actually had a hypodermic needle that was collected. So imagine swimming in the water with a hypodermic needle. So really glad that the seabed actually removed that. We have the largest largest network of seabeds on any river system in the world. We're very proud of that. And so not only do they remove debris, but they also filter out oil, gasolines, and microplastics. So we've had several marinas actually tell us they've seen more fish actually come to their marina since the seabed's been in operation, which is really exciting. All right, moving to the exciting part of your drum roll. You guys have been waiting to hear about mussels, freshwater mussels. So this job has been very serendipitous for me, and in that way, the Mussel Movement Initiative has been the same. I actually got to attend a Keep America Beautiful conference in Baltimore, where there's a nonprofit that works on water quality in the Chesapeake Bay, and they actually had an adopted oyster program. And I was like, we need to do that for freshwater mussels in the Tennessee River system, but I'm no mussel expert, I'm no scientist. So, we needed to have a collaboration that would be possible. Fast forward to last summer, I happened to be in a meeting with Dr. Michael McKinney from the University of Tennessee, and he was really excited about our electric litter skimmers, actually. And I said, well, there's also a program I've been wanting to do with mussels, but we need a mussel expert. And he said, I actually give lectures, I give courses on mussels. And I said, well, I think we might be able to get a grant from TDOT if we can prove that they filter out microplastics. And he said, UT's grad students have been doing a few studies like that, and several students have already proved that recently. So he was willing to help support, his grad students were willing to help us support our program. So we've just this year been able to launch the Tennessee River Mussel Movement Initiative. It is a 5-part piece. Really quickly, I know I'm going too long. I'm going to try and hurry. Okay. I'll really quickly tell you about the life of the mussel. So the mussel is a very special species, definitely our unsung heroes, and we'll find out in a minute just how valuable they are. But they do have this life cycle, as mentioned earlier, that they rely on fish to actually come up, and they have, if you see that photo to the right there, that's actually a lure, and many mussels have these. And what they do is they use this lure to draw fish, and the fish come in, and they actually eject their Glochidia, larvae, basically, right? Yeah, and it lands in the fish. They're breathing it in while and they embed themselves in the fish's gills. They end up growing, and that's how the mussels travel upriver. So some species are suffering specifically because the fish that they rely on is suffering. So there are some mussels that rely on one species of fish. So, but additionally, man has done its part. We've done our part in impacting the mussel life cycle, from anywhere from impacting its habitat with dams or development or pollution. But there's a lot of ways that we've been interfering, and so it's really important that we continue to raise awareness, and we're really excited. We can go to the Adopt a Mussel slide now. And so first of all, Adopt a Mussel, we're really excited about what we do with this program is TWRA provides the juvenile mussels, and they're actually put into these concrete silos that were built by the UT professors and grad students. And so they actually get placed into the silos, and they continue to filter the water while they grow, and they're protected by these concrete silos so they can get to a more robust state and then be released when they're a little bit bigger and have the ability to fend for themselves a little bit better. But really exciting because, there are statistics on the averages of what they filter out. So even though these tiny little juvenile mussels are in there, so far since they were placed on May 18th, 2025, just these 60 juvenile mussels in our silos have already filtered out 47,000 gallons of water. Have already filtered that much water while they're sitting there growing in the silos. It's really exciting. And the goal here is to, again, inspire others to take action and help protect our mussels. We also had the Mussel Fest that occurred on May 17th, which is really exciting, and we did this at Seven Island State Birding Park, and that's on the French Broad River, which is a very important piece of our watershed. It is one of the oldest rivers in the world, and very, very exciting because there's a large mussel population there, so that's where we started out. We know that mussels do well there. Our hope is eventually to start targeting areas that mussels might not be grabbing as much, and we can help. But we're leaning on the scientists because our business is inspiring others to take action. We're the educators and the inspirers, and that's one thing I will say about this Mussel Fest. We had TDEC, TWRA, TVA, UT, all of the scientists came when we're preparing for this Mussel Fest. It's actually a mile hike from the parking lot. We went to go plan. It was pouring down rain. And everybody had the biggest smiles on their faces, and I'm just, oh goodness, hopefully they'll help us, and everybody hiked a mile to it. We sorted through the river, determined the best place to have the program, and then hiked a mile back, and everyone's still smiling and celebrating, and I told them, thank you so much, and they said, no, you don't understand. We're scientists. Making awareness is not what we do. We study them, we know how to help the mussels, but you're helping to raise awareness, and we're so excited about that. And we had so many partners like UT that are coming in the Seven Island State Birding Park, having Tennessee State Parks help out with raising awareness really helps, having a collaborator like that. But everybody's just so excited to help raise awareness, and we had, I think, 200 to 300 people attend the festival. There were people showing up to the park that didn't plan to attend, and they were just coming for a run, and all of a sudden they were excited and learning about mussels. So really excited to move forward with that fest. And then something that's very unique, another piece of our Mussel Movement Initiative is documenting. So I mentioned there's many different species, and having somebody like Dr. McKinney is really exciting because you can just text him a picture when you find a shell when you're at a cleanup. And he started texting back, wow, I didn't realize that shell was on that lake system. And so it occurred to me that we have a very unique role. Even TVA doesn't have 3 individuals, that's our crew, 3 people, where we're traveling around to all of these lakes across the 7-state Tennessee River watershed in these very isolated coves. And so if we could just take some pictures of some shells we're finding while we're at it, that might help the scientists document and collect information. So that's what we're doing right now. We're working with TWRA, the mollusk conservation representative, and also with UT, and we're helping to identify. I encourage you to go on our website. I've been blown away. I encourage you to check out our website and learn a little bit more about the mussels we have. And then finally, value. I wanted to share really quickly an article I was researching just to speak today. And there's an article that WATE has online where the Clinch River is considered one of the holy grounds of mussels that are thriving. And suddenly, they've recently, in the last decade or so, 2 decades, have been suffering with population decline. So the Clinch River only has 2 dams, I believe that's Mountain Hill and Norris Lake. So these are mussels that are thriving above the dams, and yet their populations are declining. Why? And a big part of that is the agriculture and urban development that's happening. So we're having pesticides, we're having agricultural chemicals coming through the water system, but also scientists are looking at the fact that there's probably viruses going on through the mussels. So not only are we causing harm, but then there's also viruses while they're in a weakened state that they are not thriving with. So anyway, there's an interesting quote from a scientist on this, and this woman who is a scientist in Spain studying freshwater mussels, she says that we know the problem is environmental: dams, water pollution, excess fertilizers, pesticides, exotic species, lack of water, etc. But we also think there could be a pathogen, bacteria or virus, that is making things worse. In Oregon and Washington, Emily Evans, is studying the die-off of western pearl shell mussels and her role as a biologist with the Society for Invertebrate Conservation. Evans likens mussels to beds of coral reefs in terms of their diversity and contributions to aquatic life. But she acknowledges they don't just get the spotlight from some other big, beautiful species. A big part of all of our work is spotlighting how important they are, because if we don't value these mussels, they're not going to be around. The concern with that is mussels are considered keystone species, which means all the other species in the water, almost all of them, depend on these mussels. So we lose our mussels, we lose our fish. And I'm really quickly going to talk about this. So we wanted to include in our 5-part initiative valuing mussel. And Dr. McKinney was willing to do research with some of his colleagues. It's really exciting. So it's really hard to say, okay, what's the value of a mussel? Like, how are the different ways that they contribute value to our water? So we decided to focus on specific questions. So the first one we've identified is, what about water quality? If we were to pay professionals to go out on the Tennessee River and treat the water quality the way that the mussels do, how much would that cost us? So Dr. McKinney went to work with his colleagues on this, determined that the cost to treat 1,000 gallons of wastewater is $10, so that's a penny a gallon. An average mussel filter is 10 gallons a day, and go through that whole chain of calculations that they came up with, and we are talking $1.825 trillion, the value of mussels worldwide. And he even likened this to the economy. The world's economy was $100 trillion last year. So that gives you an idea of the impact of mussels on our economy and the importance of us preserving them. That's just with water quality, and we're going to be addressing other opportunities to check that out, check out how they impact the value of our water as well. Really fast, I encourage you to check out our website. We have a really fun map. I'm very proud of the fact that this map, this is, all those dots are different parts of our programs, different partners we have across the whole watershed. And I'm so proud because you can actually see the shape of the Tennessee River on that. We have a lot of amazing partners that we can do this with. And we're working to change culture. That's our job. We want to inspire and educate others to take action, and changing the culture is what it's all about. I want to give one quick example of one river cleanup we had. This was held December 27th, 2024. So we're talking people on Christmas vacation between December 25th and New Year's, right? So we had 30 people come out with their kids and everything. I actually was lucky enough to find a bottle that gives a great example of how long litter can last. I found a glass bottle. I thought the marketing on it was a little old-looking, old-fashioned. Turns out it's a windshield washer fluid. Atlas is the company, and the bottle was from the 1940s. So that's how long our litter has been accumulating and lasting on our waterways. So if we can get in there with these volunteers helping us to do massive cleanups, and then we prevent it from accumulating in the future, we really do have a lot of hope here. I love that photo. There was a dump site where it's off of Baggett Road, where Baggett Road goes up against Fort Loudon Lake. And we found TVs, we found hundreds of tires, and this dad was holding up a TV, and his daughter's mouth was just, and he's like, this is how we used to watch TV. And she's like, but again, it gives you an idea of how long this lasts on our waterways. And that photo right there, that was actually one boat full of tires, and we ended up filling in that aisle where he's standing, and so we actually had full of those tires. So that's the kind of impact our volunteers can make in just 3 hours. And so I say the future's bright. I think there's a lot of hope, and because of good people like you, letting me come and help share the word, and I know you guys are going to help spread the word and hopefully become part of our river cleanup efforts and help us make awareness about mussels. But really appreciate all you do. I also always include this picture of the empty boat. It's waiting for you. We'd love to take you out. That's Watauga Lake in Johnson City, and really beautiful lake system we have across the whole Tennessee River watershed. There's our website if you don't have it yet. And I'm getting those people.
I think we have time for a few questions. What time is it?
There you go.
There.
Okay. So I know you mentioned that the grad students over at UT were working on seeing how many microplastics the mussels removed from the Tennessee water system. Do we have numbers on that yet?
I don't know that it was how many they're removing. I think it was more proving that they did
Okay.
filter them out. And they do it, just so you know, that's something people are worried about. Like, well, what does that do to the mussels? And the way that the mussels work is they actually filter the pollutants out of our water, and they actually excrete it. And so it actually gets kind of clumped into this feces that goes to the bottom of the riverbed. So we no longer have those floating around in our waters. And I do want to emphasize I'm regurgitating information I've learned from scientists.
I'll just comment. The way you just described what mussels do with this microplastic doesn't really take them out of the environment.
This is true. This is true. Reduction of plastic is obviously the best.
I was wondering, have you heard of a study that's being conducted about a virus that eats plastic?
I have heard about that study. Yep. Scientists are working on that, I think.
So my question is probably for the parents and grandparents. Why do we litter? What can we do so that little toddlers, the first time they litter, they don't?
Right.
What kind of studies, what studies talk about why do we do this? How can we stop it? And I think it has to be done very, very young.
I would agree. I do think our favorite cleanups that our crew does are with youth, and usually the youth come kind of like, especially teenagers, come and they're kind of, what am I doing? And then by the end of the day, they're like, wait, we're having to drag them off the shore because they found litter. They've been really empowered, and I really think empowering is the right word. I tell children, letting them see the difference that they can single-handedly make. And I know that the very first cleanup I did, my daughter came up with me when she was 4, and I mean with this organization. And we went and ate out afterwards, and someone had a straw, and she actually stopped when we were on our way to the bathroom and told the woman why she couldn't have a straw. And that's really all it takes with kids, is inspiring and empowering them. But they are, the younger generation really are looking to make change and make a difference. And so it is so important to educate and empower.
Financial question. It took a few years to get the first boat. How much do the boats cost? Would more boats help?
Financial question is a great one. How much does metal cost right now? These are 26-foot aluminum john boats. So when we bought the first one in 2019, it was $30,000. That's not counting the motor that Yamaha did in collaboration. We couldn't do what we did without our partners.
I didn't mean to make you walk on.
Okay, I had a question, especially since you came from government. I agree that we need to change culture, that's where it starts. And I participated in some cleanups with other groups, and things like tire disposal fees are prohibitive
I'm so glad you said that.
to some people, and so they're like, I'd rather just dump this than pay a tire disposal fee. That's just an example I could think of. So are there any public policies that we could be advocates for that would help change the culture?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that one up. This is, so board members of our nonprofit laugh because of how excited I get when we get a tire. I think tire removal from our waterways is the biggest environmental bang for your buck because oftentimes you're right, it's the tire disposal fee, and we found that trying to recycle them ourselves. So especially when we're in very rural parts of the watershed, I've been told by some landfill areas that it was going to be $50 per tire to recycle. $50 per tire. And so what's the average citizen supposed to do with that? A lot, keep them on their property. And then you have some go, hey, my granddad used to put a tire in the river. And fish like to breed in shapes like the tires, and that's so true. But my counter to that is, do you really want to eat a fish that's been raised in a marine with slowly released oils and metals? And I hope the answer is no. And so we are actually working with TWRA and other park officials to try to remove, decades ago they were putting fisher tractors together where you see tires tied together and everything. So we're trying to undo that and replace them with reef balls, which are made out of concrete, which is much more natural. But yes, actually I was just interviewed by several state officials, and they were asking what would be the biggest impact, and I said, it's tire disposal fees. If we could have, I'm so glad you said that, this is so great. So if we could get rid of tire disposal fees, that's going to take away the discouragement. And just think about how much more it costs to go drive onto the lake into a very remote area and remove that tire and then recycle it, versus if we just had a system where they were being properly disposed of due to cost, lack of cost for. Yeah, cost barrier is a big piece of this.
So are the lakes like safe to swim in? We actually stopped swimming in them a couple years ago just because like all the oil I could see just skimming the top of the lake. So we actually stopped swimming in the lakes. And we were in the lakes, I mean, when I was a little girl, but I don't see my kids anymore.
I think a great answer to that question is another one, which is which lake and which part of the lake. But yes, I swim in them with my family. I'm out there all the time, and I speak with TDEC officials and TVA, TWRA, and yes, they're safe to swim in. It's just, especially after storms when you have waste that comes in sometimes, and that's where the real concern is.
We've run out of time for questions.
Can I just add to that really super fast? Super fast, because you said you were out of time already. But I'll just say this really fast, and that is the very first cleanup we did was in when I had the job, was in March 2019. North Alabama, that was the year that even Knoxville flooded from all the heavy rains, if you recall that. Went to go scout our litter sites. The park we were supposed to launch from was underwater. The only thing that I could see from the park was the shelter roof. The following week, we were launching from that site, but the sewage system had been, flooded and everything. So there are concerns when it comes to natural disasters.
I don't know if this is working. I appreciate your questions, and we're now going to perform blues, the Yetta Dam, and they tend to be very cold because there are hypolimnitic releases, which means they draw the water from the bottom, and so that makes it hard for mussels to grow. So that's just to give you an explanation of what's going on in the lyrics. So please join us if you'd like, especially on the chorus. If we could have the choir. And we also have a guest guitarist with us, Douglas. Douglas Mann.
Baby, don't you read
So these closing words are an excerpt from a song called River Take Me by Harold Scott. The river flows and a young man dreams. The river can drown you or wash you clean. It can take you away to some other place. It can power your cities and carry your waste. It can give you all you drink a peculiar taste. Thank you for being stewards of the Tennessee River.
And please join us for coffee and